Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of the X Bottom, Season 5, Episode 36. I am your host, Alejandro, and with me, the OG co host.
Paul, hey everybody. I am secretly a samurai in disguise.
Oh, yeah. Paul, we haven't done a solo episode, you and I, in like freaking forever
It's
because,
been a long time, my guy.
yeah, because the one that would have been us is the one you did with Rick when I couldn't do it.
That's right.
And then the other one that you did was when he was in, like 2 weeks ago.
hmm
So here we are now. It feels like a like an eternity almost, but it feels good to
Coming
be back. Good to
back
see
to
you.
the basics. It kind of reminds me of all of the many hours we've spent in front of our computer screens just chatting and yapping.
Hmm.
And how weird that gets now that we've come back to it when you don't have like an extra co-host or two to like
Hmm.
bounce between.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
wondering how like calm and quiet it's going to be versus the two of us going crazy like we
Yeah.
sometimes do. Who
Oh
knows?
yes. Trust me. I just feel so much peace for obvious reasons, but glad to be here with you. Then I get to be with you again in 2 weeks. But and Rick gets a much well-deserved rest because he did almost 4 weeks in a row. One that got lost, the episode that got lost,
Yep.
which was an almost 3-hour episode. So that's I always feel bad about that one because we talked so much good stuff in that one and he just disappeared. But good to see you today, Paul. And no need to waste any more time because this is the X Bottom Podcast, Escapes Gaming podcast that posts every Fridays from 10 a.m. onwards. God willing, available in the YouTube channel Escape Gaming, as well as most audio services around the world, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the like. You can find links in the RSS feed at tinyurl.com/escape gaming. If you enjoy our show, give us a like and subscribe. And a little bit of housekeeping. My review for Digimon Story Time Stranger, aka Redacted from last week, went live late last night, despite the fact
I
that it
was
was
gonna
the
say when did that actually happen, and did they ever actually respond to you?
yes, and we actually had a good conversation about like we need to have better safeguards to make sure that those things can go because the ultimate posting goes towards our EIC and he works for Google and they've been forcing him to go back to the office and have to manage a bunch of teams. So he's been like not available to post that. So I kind of told him it's like, hey, maybe for I know like so it doesn't just fall on you because life happens. I know this is not like the main thing. Maybe we should kind of like delegate like specific jobs so that these things can be covered so it doesn't like and we're talking about that. So but it went live last night. It's still technically at the day of the embargo. It just didn't hit at the same time as the other reviews.
Hmm.
But I kind of like we had a good talk about it, so I'm not as salty as I was when it wasn't going live because I cut down to the wire. If my voice sounds different, it's like I've been sick. So through that sickness, I pushed. But I'll talk more about that game. But it's yep. You can go read it. I'll talk more about that later. But Paul,
If anything else, it kind of sounds like you avoided the D-Day getting shredded in the boat kind of moment. You got to come up a little later after all the
uh,
chaos,
yes.
and then maybe somebody will read yours.
If there's something that I learned is that the Digimon community is silent but huge. That thing's doing numbers. That review I was told today, I was like, I didn't know. We were told like they were like, I'm looking at the back and why is this review being pinged a lot? There's a lot of Digimon fans. There's
There
quite a lot.
are. I
There's
when
quite a
we
lot.
talk about it, I can jump into it later, but
Mm-hmm.
it's very deceptive,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but very interesting to find out the Digimon community is very much alive and well
Yes, it's just that the Pokemon community is so ginormous in comparison to
and
that.
very
That
vocal.
yes, and vocal too, and has put out way more games in recent times, lower quality. And Digimon's also always been like very iffy with its quality too, so it's not like they've been making a splash either. But and yeah, we're gonna talk about that later. But what do you want to talk about today? About what you've been playing, Paul? Because you got a few of the list.
Yeah, I'll just get like the first one that's more just a single comment out of it, but man, Metal Gear Solid is such a comfort game for me and a comfort series now. I was struggling with some of the other games that I'm going to talk about more later, but just to go back to three, even on its extreme difficulty or expert, I think is what it's called.
Extreme. If it's
Um,
the hardest, it's extreme.
Extreme. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but there's something so fun about like, yeah, even though they can detect you, if you're just slick with it
Hmm.
and you have your camo up, you're good. The only thing that's a real sticking point is those boss fights, because holy
Yes.
crap, you make one mistake and it's over pretty
Yeah.
much.
The pain boss fight was a real pain, I tell you.
The
In
on
and
Ironically enough, I don't know how I managed to do it without too much struggle, but the Fury has been giving me more trouble. I beat him finally,
mm-hmm.
but it's like he would get you in this loop of like
Mm-hmm.
you get hit by the flames, you do the little front flip or back flip or whatever, you have to stand up, you're still in the fire, and he just keeps hitting you with the fire over and over again, and you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
So it was basically me just like doing little pot shots at him here in an air, blowing up the barrels, and then he gets me once because he's way quieter than I gave him credit for,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and he just appears.
Yeah, and you don't realize how much that game gives boss fights iframes when you start shooting them for a while,
Yeah.
and then like
Oh my
the
gosh.
health kind of
It
like
goes gray.
goes gray for a little bit, so you cannot just
Mhm.
keep like popping them, because I know in four there was no iframes for the bosses, so you could keep like
Oh
constantly
dang, that
shooting them,
that
but
sounds very entertaining.
but it was like the damage that you were doing them normal difficulty onwards was not too much, so that's why like it accounted for the fact that you could keep like spraying them before they did like an AoE attack that could like knock you
I
or
know
something.
five had the iframes for them as well because I remember that. I'm trying to remember. I think two
Mm-hmm. Two had them.
had it. Yeah, because they'll always do something to like transition wherever they are. I don't remember about one because I feel like you could
Mm-hmm.
spam that one. Sniper Wolf definitely had iframes, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the rest. But anyway, yeah, it's just so much fun and crawling through. I did the end skip, and I've never actually done that before. So getting to go through like a cadre of like 10 soldiers in each region was surprisingly fun, especially when you got them all kind of in a line and they just start running up the hill towards you, and you're just like pop headshot, pop headshot,
Yeah.
pop headshot. And you're like, all right, I win. And especially using the camos to your advantage because you'll have like the desert one has
Mm-hmm.
infinite suppressor, so you can spray and pray with those suckers,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lot of fun. But anyway, that's all I was
And
gonna
I
say
would
about
say
that.
that playing in extreme makes me appreciate the new controls even more, because it feels like
Yes.
the challenge is finally like at the right place for the
Hmm.
mechanical advantage that it
So you could
gives you.
really move with that, and also the quick loading feature
Mm-hmm.
that didn't exist in the original game lets you just kind of reset that room if you really mess up and you
Mm-hmm.
need to redo it. It's not gonna beat you over the head with a penalty or anything like that, which I really appreciate because I'm here to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already at like the Rykov section where you take his uniform
Mm-hmm.
and you go into the torture sequence and whatever. Um, so I'm surprised that I'm making such good progress despite not necessarily being a great stealth player.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also not like just gunning everybody down. I feel like I'm trying and I'm doing all right, but I'm also being very lethal. So we're gonna see if I can skip the Sorrow fight
Yeah.
without a lot of struggle.
So do this. Whenever you start that, have you gotten the handkerchief yet? The item.
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so as soon as you get to the sorrow, equip the handkerchief, start like moving it so you get sleepy, and then Snake is gonna sleep and drown himself in the
Okay.
river, and then just
And then
pop the
you'd use
pill,
the
and that's
life
it.
revive.
Mm-hmm.
You can't use the death pill in that segment
No.
because you already used it earlier, I
Mm-hmm.
think. Okay.
Yeah. So use the handkerchief, fall asleep, or
Mhm.
just keep swimming down there until like your stamina
Oh
for
yeah,
like
you could
breathing
do that.
runs out. But that's kind of like the fastest way to do it: handkerchief and
And
revive
the
pill.
life pill. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you don't have to like you can be like as lethal as
Hmm.
murderous as you
Hmm.
want to be, and you don't have to kind of go through that entire pathway of seeing everyone that you've
Yeah.
killed.
I will say going lethal, it is a significantly easier game because with the tranquilizer gun, you have to get close to an extent. But with that one, you snipe a zone in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
and then everything's dead, and you're good to move forward.
Are you
Like the
using the
mountain
Patriot?
No. The only time I used the Patriot was for the fear fight because it was really frustrating to like
Mm-hmm.
reload and figure out his jumps. But I'm really trying to not use the Patriot or the single action army, which I mean it
Mm-hmm.
still uses the same 45 as the pistol, which doesn't really matter. But
Mm-hmm.
still, I'm trying to not cheat myself too much.
Yeah, I used the Patriot because I streamed my second playthrough of that game when I played on Extreme,
Mhm.
and I gave myself like 4 or 5 game overs doing our boss fight that I was like, if I can get this, I'm popping the Patriot and just getting forward because I don't want to keep getting too
The
tilted
only thing
here
I'm really worried about is that boss, the literal boss fight at
at
the
the end.
end, not to be confused with the end boss fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because the boss is a pain in the butt and she's very good at her job. So
Yes,
we're
yes,
gonna see what happens.
yes. But Delta, great game. I can't believe it's been a month like
Yeah,
since we
just about.
yeah, since it
And
came out.
man,
So
what a
one of the
time.
best, of the year. So
Cannot wait for that Metal Gear Solid 1 remake that they said they really want to tackle. And I was
yeah,
like,
I'm
yeah.
glad they said that, but I'm equally happy that they confirmed Volume 2
Oh, just
for the Master
that
Collection.
like double whammy of news that they gave is like the best news that I could have possibly wanted out of that, where they're like, yes, Master Collection 2 is very far in development. We're all ready to reveal very soon. And we're ready to tackle Metal Gear Solid 1 remake. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like I'd be ready to clap right there because that's
Yeah.
like the two things that I wanted probably the most out of all of that.
Oh yes, especially like you do appreciate the original MGS despite its age as a PS1 game, but
Hmm.
there's a timeless quality to that game if you put yourself and
That's
how
the best part. Like, there's
groundbreaking.
zero nostalgia for me
Uh,
with that. And I still, as an adult, tried it out and went, this actually slaps. I love this.
it's a timeless story. That
It's
story is so
crazy.
good.
I
So
can't believe.
emotional, so like powerful, like what like kind of like uh how kind of has a reflection of like life at the end
Yeah.
of that
And
game. It's
it's
like it's so good.
constantly poignant, even
Hmm.
today.
Oh yes,
No matter how many years have passed.
especially
Gosh, what a
every
story.
talk with Snake and Naomi, like because
Yeah. Oh,
that's where that game gets like really philosophical in such a great way. Besides the anti-war message,
hmm.
the
There's
Paul
just too much of it.
Silk Song. Let's
Yeah, let's go through that real quick.
so
So
for
previously on
on
record, I have gone through the process of I said the run backs were not all that bad, and I believe all you have to do is prep well enough
Mhm.
and really explore the map. And anybody who is really struggling with the run backs just isn't paying enough attention or something along those lines. Boy, was I wrong. F that guy in the past because I have learned. I have fought Grohl. I
Mhm.
have gone through the journeys of Act Two, and boy, let me tell you, there are some runbacks that are of the devil. Let me
Yes.
tell you.
And that's what I found so funny when you were like saying the runbacks were not so bad
Uh
because
huh. Uh huh.
everyone was like, that's so unanimous that the
I was
runbacks are
really
like the
high on my
problem.
own supply of like, oh no, I'm just built different now. I figured it out. I understand Metroidvanias.
Yeah.
They're not the same. Let me clarify. I'm still crushing it right now, but there
Uh,
is one zone because let's see. So Act Two. I mean, this is like it's almost not even really a spoiler to talk about stuff in Silksong because it's
mhm.
just like, hey, there's this region that you can see at the start of the game that's called the Citadel. You're in the Citadel.
Mhm.
Congratulations. Um, but you have to go through these weird gauntlets in this game. They're much more common, I've noticed, where like they'll
More
lock you in a
platforming.
room.
Yeah, and more platforming
Um,
challenges too,
yeah,
right?
and there's a lot more platforming. There's a lot more like stage hazards that are constantly going on, which of course fits right in with their comments where they're like, yes, it is more difficult, but also you have way more tools and yada, yada, yada. Still one of the tightest control schemes I've ever had. The fact that you can dodge with R2, I don't know, it just feels so good to me because I don't know, something with my thumbs, I'm like sluggish compared to everything else that you have to use with your thumbs, but locking that dash into the R2 button, it just keeps me moving so doggone fast through these levels that I even saved my run back going through getting to Act 2 against the last judge. Um, I almost started having fun with how quickly I was zipping through things, jumping over and around enemies to avoid them and like really pulling a Sisyphusian level of pleasure out of it. And now to an extent, I still feel that way, but there's a couple spots that are really evil. The way they, oh, it's real Dark Souls 1. Just you gotta spend about 5 minutes at least running through this zone. Let me run through the specifically. This is a place called Bilewater that everybody has talked about to death. Um, you either have to have one bench at the start of the whole zone. You work your way all the way up and over because if you go up, obviously everything's so much harder. Or there's a secret place that you have to find that is around a like an infested pool that has these maggots or whatever, and if you land in it, it covers your healing. So whenever you have to heal, it only removes those and will not heal you at all. And it will slowly drain your silk. So you're losing your ability to heal, and when you do finally heal, you have to get enough silk to go over it before it goes back down. You have to heal, and then you still don't have any healing from that because all you did was cure yourself of the infection. Um, there is an item supposedly that exists that's supposed to stop you from getting infected, but of course that takes one of your slots. That is used for powerful passives and weapon slots. You only get a handful of those depending on what your move set is, or style, marker, crest. That's the word. And boy, is it a pain in the butt to run through. You get through all of that, then you go through about 2 3 waves of enemies, and then you fight the actual enemy. um I'm told now that he is a required enemy to fight to get to Act 3.
Oh
um
no.
I was hoping that he was just like a really extra challenging side boss, that it's like, all right guys, we're gonna make this really hard thing optional, and so you can kind of go past it, but you really want that challenge, you got to go find
Yeah.
the tough
You
guy.
wanted it to be a cleric beast instead of a Father Gascoigne.
Yep. Which is so funny because I didn't have any trouble with the cleric beast back in the day. I didn't even know that he was a big deal for everybody, but
Because it was people's
Gascoigne beat the crap out of me.
yeah, yeah,
uh,
cleric beast was just so many people's first boss fight. That's why it was
yeah,
such a problem. But you were not a when you played Bloodborne, you had already played Dark Souls. It's not like you
right.
were a
I was
you were a noob.
I was tempered in the fires.
Mm.
So yeah, it's a crazy journey, Silk Song, and especially mine with it. However, it's also phenomenal. It is such a good game. Its world design, its power system, the way that you can so severely change the way you can play something. It's really is just like the Elden Ring situation where you're like, okay, am I beating myself against this wall? Let me change just about everything about my character and go back in and see what works. And while you do expend a resource to do that, I find that especially in Act Two, you've found so many ways to get that currency that it kind of doesn't become an issue until you want to go find a shopkeeper and then buy all their stock. And then there's also ways to chain those little rosary beads into a non-losable currency, that it's just not an issue anymore, especially when you can teleport all the way across the map. Supposedly in Act 3 you can have like, you don't have to run to a fast travel station, you can actually like zoom back to
Mhm.
either, I don't know if it's a specific bench or what because I haven't gotten to it yet, but I did hear that there's just even more quality of life coming as you get more powerful. Um, let me think. What are some of the other things going on? Just the amount of like tools you can use. You've got those, the mimic tier of Silksong is a bit, people have been talking about it. There's just like a it's like a little drone bug. You can
Mhm.
throw out 4 of them at a time, and it just runs through enemies like crazy, just hitting them literally until they die. And then you could just keep throwing those out. And there's even a style crest that lets you craft those in the middle of battle, as opposed to all the others where you have to go back to a bench to then craft them. So you could, in theory, just overwhelm an enemy just throwing those out, resetting, throwing them out, um, and then just like that, they also make the enemies ridiculously difficult to fight against you.
Mhm.
So I think that's all of my actual thoughts on it right now. I'm having so much fun. It's so well animated and drawn. and I walk through some of these regions, and the sense of scale just dwarfs me, where I'm just the tiny little bug and there's this massive thing in the background. It's not even an enemy, it's just like a structure, and I just feel like where the heck am I, man? This is crazy. But
Awesome.
I love it. And I can't believe I'm loving it because I'm one of the I don't hate Hollow Knight. I didn't get it, and I still feel like I struggle with it sometimes.
Mhm.
But at this point, I really wish they could have given me any of Silk Song's quality of life back
In
in
that
Hollow
original.
Knight, and I think I would have liked it a lot more.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Just a better
Silk Song
start.
good.
Yeah, just a
It's
better
so much
start.
better
Yeah,
start.
so
Apparently, they had to even add the opening region in because they realized that it wasn't getting the reaction that they wanted.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's crazy what they did. And now that I'm looking back over the course of 7 years, I'm one of the other people that's like, how did they fit so much into this game in 7 years and then ask $20 for it? This is ridiculous. So
Yeah.
yeah, Silk Song good.
Yeah, one day I'll get back to it because there's just so many games. It's just been a mix of me folding like so many games that have come
Dude,
out.
you have been folding like origami left and right.
And
I
also
I don't even want to like fight against you because it's your own money most of
uh,
the time, but I'm like, dude,
yeah,
you buying a little bit too much right
I
now.
know. And also been getting a lot of codes too.
Yep.
Like obviously Digimon Story Time Stranger, I got it like 2 weeks ago. That's like been one of
Mhm.
the longer lead times that I've gotten with a game that originally I wasn't interested in playing because of when it was coming out. It's coming out the day this podcast goes live.
Right.
As we were talking, another former co-host because he was wanting to prioritize that one, but I ended up like getting it for review. So that's been most of my 2 weeks of what I've been playing. Besides the time that I briefly stopped to do the streams for Silent Hill F that I got to finish on stream. You can go check my highlight VODs over at twitch.tv slash Slayer Giant. You
Did you
got to
play through
see
the entire game on stream?
start to finish.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was like a 9 hour playthrough according to the according to my save, which I'm so thankful for because Silent Hill 2 remake is so long in comparison, and survival horror is a specific genre that
It is.
brevity is what makes separates the good
Looking
from the
at
great.
you, Evil Within.
Yes, Evil Within is one of those that is like it's so good, and then it loses what makes it so
Just
good
keeps going.
because it just keeps on going. Because like think about how often you repeat it, even though this game is technically kind of long. Resident Evil 4 remake,
Oh yeah.
like that
I
the
think I played through it about three separate times in the
Mhm.
first couple of months.
Yeah, because it's like a once you kind of learn, and obviously that one has an action stint to it, so it's not like it's like
Hmm.
super
Hmm.
scary. But
Even
what people
two, I would say, like it does drag in some places, but it's still not exactly a long game. You know
Oh
what
yeah,
I mean?
no, two can be beaten in like 5 or 6 hours if you know what you're doing, or 6 or 8 like on the first playthrough. That's kind of like the perfect length, especially for a game that's supposed to be replayed because of the different endings. And Silent Hill F
Right.
specifically is very opens up so much story and explanation of why things are the way they are in the subsequent playthroughs that I'm kind of happy that the game is as short as it is. Like Gene Park got a playthrough done in 3 hours because he just knew literally everything. For one, it's like
Crazy.
that I love doing that. I love hearing that because it's kind of like that's what makes that survival horror genre like great when you like master it and understand. Oh yeah, I don't have to fight everything, especially because the combat of this game is rough. The only time that you have to fight is near the end, where it's like it's you're locked in into the Devil May Cry rooms where like they
Hmm.
blocked and you have to kill everything. And
Oh
yeah,
man.
but yeah. So and then Digimon was what I was playing before and after that one. And I got sick last weekend because I was gonna stream Hades 2, one of the games that I folded on.
Oh
I
yeah.
got to stream that yesterday. I got to stream that yesterday. But before I jump into that, so Digimon Time Stringer. Before I say anything, you played briefly because I told you it's like you should
Very.
try this one. So
I did technically play it. I got to the starter segments, and I think I got my second little Digimon.
mhm.
I got back out of that opening zone. I really enjoyed what I did play, but it was
Mm-hmm.
also like well, I've got all of this other stuff that I've been waiting the entire year to play. I'm gonna go
Hmm.
play that instead.
Yes.
But if it was like in the dead of summer and I had nothing else to do, I probably would have played it a little bit longer because it's actually pretty decent.
Hmm.
It is an actual turn-based, very Pokemon style game. Who knows how long that'll last with
Hmm.
the what is it called?
ZA.
The patent,
The patent.
which somebody said that that might have been overblown. It did
It
not
was.
actually
It was.
exist.
It was.
Um, Real quick, what was the truth with that? Like, there's like it's not actually a patent or whatever.
It's been like formatted, but it hasn't been officially patented, and it's only over there in Japan or something like that. It's kind of why.
I had a feeling because I was like, patents only exist in the country that they're created in, so that
Hmm.
doesn't really affect anybody who does something outside of that country. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It was very interesting. I'm one of those people that never grew up with Digimon. I just
Hmm.
knew the concept where it's like you got a cool little animal, and then at some point it evolves and it gets like a machine gun for an arm.
Hmm.
I remember the movie was just absolutely insane. I'll
Hmm.
watch like clips of the same like parts of it here and there.
Hmm.
But I just never had the opportunity until I was too old.
Yeah,
But
The Fox Kids early Digimon
yeah.
Adventure seasons were like the rage back then.
Mhm.
I kind of like read about it, be like, I kind of want to read like the history of this because I have like such a affinity to that early Digimon because of when I experienced it. I even put it there in my review that you can read over at SG. How like I connected with Digimon because they were doing a lot of marathon runs of the first and second seasons in our local channels while I was sheltered out, not in my home, due to a massive earthquake that hit us here in El Salvador in January 2001. January 13th, 2001. You can put that date and put El Salvador. It's like there's a Wikipedia article about it. Like you can kind of
Gosh.
like, so it's like it was a historic like disaster that happened here. So I remember be like I was not in one of my things at home. I was kind of like in shelter, just watching like the local channels that we had because there was no cable and all that. And I watched a lot of Digimon 1 and 2 like during that entire period. And I vividly remember it. And Digimon has changed so much because every season felt like a restart almost of like new characters, new Digimons, and all that. So it was like a there was only through line with the first two seasons, and then the through line got kind of lost, and they I learned the through line from those original stories kind of got repicked back again with like a more slightly young adult anime called like Digimon Adventure Try, and then the movie that closed the book of everything. But I lost the plot for a while.
Hmm.
But I still vividly remember those first two seasons. I remember the music, the specific songs, the specific storylines because it was like one of the, despite how can I say this? That's such a perfect thing that you just shared to me.
Yep.
Like it's the Mighty Creef on Twitter just put Pokemon fans might try to kill me, but I legit believe the new Digimon game is the best ever monster taming battling game in this genre. Like it's next level. Yes, like leading up into that, like the thing that made me so curious of Digimon Story because this was announced at a state of play. So I was like, why is a Digimon game being announced at a state of play? That seems so
Hmm.
random. But it's like this was one that they've been putting a lot of time and effort because they wanted to make like a really legit, super built up, like super in-depth monster collecting game. And that's what they delivered. That's kind of what I love the most about it. It's the seventh game in the Digimon Story series, but you can jump into this one. They basically set it up
Like
that
it's
you don't have to,
standalone.
yeah, you don't have to play Cyber Sleuth, which were the two that made it to console. This is a series that's just been on mobile in Japan, like handheld, like DS, and never made it outside Japan, like after, until its fifth entry. And Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, which are like the two Cyber Sleuth games from 2015 and 2017, are like the only ones that are technically connected, and one of them is not even available now. I got delisted, but the second
Dang.
game was given in PS Plus recently. I kind of like tried it briefly. I was like, I see what you were doing, but you were not fully there yet. But with this one, it's like if you've been disenchanted with the quality of the 3D entries of Pokemon, especially the Switch era of Pokemon, where it's very clear that they have really great ideas, but the rush development cycle, the lack of polish, have like really hurt those games. Think about Digimon as like this is what happens when you've given someone a lot of time and care to do one of these games, and on top of that, having a kick-ass story. I absolutely love the story in Digimon Story Time Stranger because it's like it definitely if you played a JRPG, it definitely hits the save the world calamity things that you see in a lot of turn-based JRPGs. but that's always been Digimon. So it's like it doesn't feel out of place in Digimon. It's a time travel story that plays around with time, and the emotional core of that story, once it untangles how time travel fits into the story that it's telling, I found it so deeply like affecting and touching in the way that reminded me of how the Digimon anime back in the day was also so deeply touching, because it was like the Digimon anime was always known for, yes, it had a kiddie aesthetic, but unlike Pokemon that was very kiddie throughout, they used that aesthetic to then kind of like sucker punch you with like some really dark themes uh, about the
That's what I've
world.
always heard.
Yeah, it's like it's why people always were like, out of Digimon and Pokemon, Pokemon may have the better games because at the time they were like king of the crop with red, blue, yellow,
Oh
and
my
all of
gosh, yeah.
that. But Digimon was like the anime that you would watch because it was like it would traumatize you sometimes. Like it's like a dark, in Digimon 2, I remember the main villain revealed of that season was kind of like a former Digimon kid that lost his friend to suicide or things like that. Like where they were trying to get to
Yeah.
the Digi world and all that. And he always carried that resentment, and the darkness of that resentment is what allowed the dark Digimon to kind of like possess him and kind of like be like that vessel to kind of like destroy the Digi world and things like that. It's like it was always dealing with like really dark stuff, and there's a bunch of dark stuff that you hear here. Like there's a it's so funny because we had a long conversation with our friend Sebastian today about
Hmm.
grief in
Yep.
video games. Add another one, this one,
Oh,
add another
yep.
one that deals with some of those themes, but it's like that's also always been part of Digimon. How kind of like it deals with who your main character is, because your main character is very nondescript. It's you name it, him or her. I did a her because of course. Which by the way, a lot of the female character models in this game are very they're like it's very fan servicey. Let's just put it like
Mhm.
that. There's like
Mhm.
my cousin used a very specific word that I cannot say. I cannot say in this show right now, but you can imagine when you look at them.
Yep.
It's like but kind of like the nature of who that main character is in relation to like your companion character that also comes with a Digimon that also kind of becomes like uh, a kid Digimon too, kind of like a mix, and it kind of like explains in the story why that is. Because it's like eventually Digimon became a thing where it wasn't just the monsters, like the Digi evolutions of these Digi monsters basically became furries almost, of like kind of like this mix of humanoid and beast at the same time, and that kind of plays into the story of who their companion is. And when all of this is kind of like untangled, I was very surprised how much I was really digging the story, enough so that I think Digimon Story Time Stranger is like top three story of the year for me, which I never expect for a game that I didn't even have.
Not at all what I would have
Like,
expected.
yeah, I never would have expected that. And to me, like more impressive was the fact that I have not kept up on Digimon, so you cannot quote me on like if this is how Digimon still has been with like all its different spin-offs that they put out and like the movies and all that. I've been catching Try over on Crunchyroll, which thank you by the way, because
You're welcome.
I've been like catching like Try because I've been like, what's available to watch, and I saw that they had it, so I was like, I kind of want to watch Try. And it's cool seeing that it retains the tone of the Fox Kids cartoon, but it's definitely a more teenager like uh focused game, and they're dealing like with things that are a little bit more serious, but the core and the heart of what made the original anime so effective is still there in Try. And I feel even with no knowledge of that anime, a lot of what made that anime so strong thematically is also here. Kind of like how when you watch like the different Final Fantasy games, that they're not related to one another, but thematically they are. That there's some core themes to a lot of them that they resonate from entry to entry, despite the stories being completely separate. I feel like Digimon's kind of there right now, and that's how Time Stranger feels. And on top of that, I feel like this has been not a revolutionary JRPG by any means, but it has taken the right lessons to make a really good one of these turn-based JRPGs. It's like caught a lot of the fat. It's the quality of life is all over this thing, from like the fast battles, the auto battles, XP gains for everyone, no matter where you are, whether it's like your Digimons are like stored in storage basically, or like the one because you have three active ones, and then you have three in reserve on top of like a guest character that fights with you that helps you. Uh,
Can you
and it
switch between like that back row
yes,
crew?
yes, at any
And you,
point.
you fight with three at the same time.
Yes, you fight with three, so one gets a turn, the other one gets a turn, then the other one gets a turn. You get like the list in
So
classic.
it's not really a one-on-one thing at all.
Mhm.
It's like three versus however many the enemy is throwing
Exactly.
at you.
Yes, and I didn't see if this game had like the like let's use Expedition 33 or Dragon Quest, that they have a specific stat that if it's very high allows you to kind of have more turns at the same time. And I
Right.
didn't really get too in the nitty gritty because there was depth, but I was like, I don't feel like I really need to go too in depth, especially for a review that I'm writing for this. But it seems that the depth may be there for people looking for it. But I feel it's like I love the synergy of exploiting the elemental weaknesses. Obviously, like there's a lot of trial and error. Like, okay, you're gonna fight an enemy, you can scan them, but it's gonna have like the question mark of like, okay, what are they weak at? And you can start like experimenting of like attacking and be like, oh, this made a damage, and then it's permanently in record. This thing does 300% more damage if you like use this specifically. And
Hmm.
there are some enemies that switch their weaknesses halfway through, and that can keep you on your toes sometimes. That sometimes can get really annoying in a really long boss battle. Like it's like, oh crap, because I had a specific setup for my. I have a Digimon that's super strong with fire, but also does ice attacks and electricity attacks. Suddenly now I have the weakness is ground. I have nothing that gives it ground. So it's like suddenly I'm like kind of screwed here. If it becomes too difficult, you can switch to the story difficulty at any moment, and if you die, it also gives you the option to retry the battle in invincible mode. So
Huh.
that be like like what you want is just experience the story and not having to like go. You have that option, and it only enables it for that one boss battle. So it's not like you're in invincible mode all the time, or like in that fight. So you have
Hmm.
that choice. If you like, at some point you start getting stuck, and I accept I did in the later parts of the game with some really long boss battles, and I had a review to write, but the option's there, and uh, and I also kind of like forgo like there's a lot of side content too, and it's of lesser quality. There's a lot of run here, talk to person, run over here, talk to person. There's gonna be some fight. There's just a bunch of it feels very fetch questy, so that's why I stopped doing side quests after a certain point, and I just kind of like mainline through for a story that can
Hmm.
take in between 30 to 40 hours to beat. But like overall, like the story halfway through starts dragging a little bit because that's when time travel starts like really kicking in, and you start visiting these different worlds, and at a specific point in your main missions while you're in those worlds, it time travels you back to then run through it again, uh, in a much faster way. And it started doing it a little too often that it started to be like, okay, time to rerun this exact same world because it's
Hmm.
giving me the backstory of what happened, and time got screwed up, but I have the ability to time travel back and rewrite history of what's about to happen to prevent this calamity. But eventually, like it untangles itself, and like any great JRPG that delivers on the story, it delivered in a great way. I'll say I'm kind of disappointed with the soundtrack though because it has a little bit of like rock and roll riff that I'm so used to Digimon, but especially if you experience the non-American version of Digimon, if you experience the Japanese version or the dub version in Spanish that use the Japanese tracks, those tracks by the late Koji Wada, who passed away in 2014 from throat cancer, those songs were so instrumental at giving Digimon its soul and giving it its like memorable like beat that you would think about that would make you so nostalgic of like of better times. Only the main theme of the song that plays over the credits and you can see it in the launch trailer, it's really good. Nothing else really like there's no like in Expedition 33 I think about some theme specifically. Uh I think of this song and I remember a boss fight. It doesn't have uh like that kind of power, I would say. And that to me it's a bummer because I feel this game is gonna be a lot of people. It's gonna be the gateway to get people into Digimon. I love that there's like no required homework to do this. It's like the only required homework to me was the fact that I remember so many of the Digimons from Digimon 1 that are all over here and were some of my companions. I was like, I remember what your evolution is, and you have choices to evolve them. And I was like, this Patamon's gonna become Angelmon and then becomes World Angelmon afterwards. It's like that's I remember that from the anime. Is that that's so cool that that is here still, and I can build my characters to get to this point too.
Yeah, that
And
was interesting to see how that, and like I don't understand quite how Digimon works with its little
mm-hmm.
digivolution.
Digivolutions, yeah, the
Yeah.
Digivolutions. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wait, that was the thing from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, wait, I've seen that before. And not knowing if that's like, is that character or is it like something can turn into that that's not from the story?
This game plays around with that because I feel later stories of Digimon started evolving the monsters into different forms from what they were originally. Like in the Digimon 1, Patamon became Angelmon and then became more Angelmon. that same character returned in the second season, but his evolution was different, like early on. So it's like they started like this game kind of plays around with that, where it's like they can evolve into different things that you're choosing depending on what their affinity is. It can be the linear progression of why you remember the evolution being from the anime, or you can like change them into a completely different character too, based on like kind of like what you want with different stats and different affinities and things like that. You have that choice. So it
Okay.
rewards people that understand the anime, but I don't think it's required reading. That's the best thing that I can say about this. Like anyone that likes Pokemon style monster collecting JRPGs, I feel like the way that you collect this monsters, which is like you just have to fight them often to kind of like get a percentage for you to create them, because you're collecting the data to then like build them and make them like your monster. You have relationships with your monster. They text you and you chat with them, and depending on what you answer in that chat, you can kind of like reinforce their affinity or make them change their affinity. I love always having people in Valor because it made them stronger, like stronger attackers and also counter attackers. But you can make them more philosophical. You can make them more cheerful. You can make them like assholes if you want. Like there's like there's a little bit of social link element with your Digimons that's there, and I love being around in the Digi world and feeling like it's a living, breathing world where Digimons are kind of living their life. You see them chilling, drinking at a bar, and all of that. It's so funny seeing who they are. Like
Digimon?
the Digimon. Yeah, when you go
That's
to the
funny.
Digi world, it's like it feels very lived in a way that I don't feel Pokemon has feel in the 3D realm. Which in the 3D realm, I feel Pokemon has felt very bland. This the Legends Arceus is probably the one that got the closest at giving you a living, breathing world of Pokemon. Uh, and I feel ZA is gonna do that, but I feel like in a more traditional sense, Digimon has like way like leaped forward from Pokemon. I'm hoping that especially this is not on a Nintendo system right now, which shocks me
Hmm.
because the Cyber Sleuth games made it to the Switch. Maybe this comes to Switch 2 later. For anyone that wants the ones that scratch the Pokemon itch, but you're not on Switch, get this one. I gave it an 8 overall. And it was so funny because I was like, I remember like, I'm gonna give this an 8. I wonder if I'm gonna be an outlier. And then I see the open credit yesterday. It's an 82. I'm like, I cannot believe I nailed another score
Crushed
again.
it.
So I still, to this day, Paul, I have not gotten an outlier review yet. Like I'm still within the margin of
Mm.
error. Unlike some companies, unlike
Hmm.
some other
All
unnamed.
over it.
But that's
Well,
Digimon
what
Time
is it?
Stranger.
3 years of those now?
Yes, 3 years of reviews, and I
Yeah.
still haven't.
All
I
right.
haven't been out of step yet. I'm still waiting for the moment that's gonna happen. But and then briefly, in my decompressed games, I went back to Spider-Man, but this time I went back to I was doing because I've done ultimate difficulty Spider-Man remaster run like, on your suggestion, because that's a really good difficulty to like exploit the gadget gameplay that I used to not do. I'm doing that now with Spider-Man 2. And I feel that one, the combat of the game also feels evolved when you go like higher difficulty in the new game plus with everything unlocked, because I feel like I'm playing a DMC game now, because that game is so melee. It's so clear that they were like, no, the combat of this game is melee. It's not about like the easy wins and all that. It's like everything that from the gadgets they've given you and like the ways you have to synergize how you. Yes, I know some people hate that you parry in this game. I know it doesn't fit Spider-Man, but there's like ways to make sure the parry and your perfect dodges synchronize well with like the gadget recovery or the move recovery, and you kind of like being like on that constant flow state. And I enjoy playing it like that. The story still, the further we keep going, like this
Call it
story
hit
is
or
so,
miss.
it's so yeah, there I listened to a podcast, the podcast that I guested on, Summon Science in April. They had the real Radic in that show like recently, and he called it as like the story of Spider-Man is very Disney Channel, and it's so true. It's like
Oof.
it's the story is so Disney Channel. It's just so boiled down. It's so simple.
Was it Spider-Man 2 that finally had the comparison where it was like it feels like HR's in the room?
Yes, that was the first game.
That
Yeah.
that was, and I feel like that statement got a lot of flack
Mhm.
because it's very vague, but I can understand where they're coming from very
Yeah,
much
it's
on
like
it.
for people that know New Yorkers, it's like these people just
Mm,
don't act like New Yorkers. They're too nice.
Everybody's
It
super
is
supportive.
exactly. Yes, it's like
And
it's so
even
nice.
Spider-Man himself on his big power trip is not nearly as much of a jerk as he probably should be.
Yeah, and it's what made us reckon that in the little bit that he was a jerk, he felt more real early on when he has like the black suit, and then he just kind of he just goes up the deep end because they rush that story so much. But I feel there's like a big like obviously like one reason why I play Spider-Man 2 because we saw the tweet from Rick Hogue where he literally called the story of this game execrable and made the game completely unplayable.
Yeah, that
And
was like, all
it's like
right, let's calm down
yeah,
from
that's
all this. Like
exactly yeah,
I'm
just
gonna
chill.
jump on the frustration wagon considering how much I love 2018. But
Mm-hmm.
let's be honest, everybody.
Yeah.
It's a decent and fully playable game.
Mm-hmm.
It might not have taken the choices that we would all like,
Mm-hmm.
but you cannot argue that it does not play fantastically.
Yeah, gameplay is what carries it. I
Mhm.
forget how amazing it is to fly on that game, especially when you go from 2018 to that one. Web swinging is like night and day. Like the feeling of like how fast the speed feels just from the web swing, disabling the assist mode, the strategy that it gives to your web swinging, and mixing it with like the fall damage that you can make, and mixing it also with the wingsuit. It's like it's such a joy. That game is like kind of like what Gene Park said, that sometimes you just would load in a Spider-Man game to just kind of fly around and fight crime and all that. I like doing that in the early game when it's not the Venom stuff, because just stopping the
Mhm.
crime is like feels really good.
The
It's
Venom crap is so frustrating at how much of it there is.
and they
I
don't
think that's
remove
what it.
it. And
Yeah,
they don't
the
remove it in the
fact that
later
there's
game.
never a point where you can just like get rid of it, it kind of ruins any of the
Just
crimes that could
mm-hmm,
happen because they're all the symbiotes. It feels after a
mm-hmm.
certain
And you
point.
constantly have to use the sonic boom like to kind of
Yeah.
like disable them and all that. It's like that's where it misses, but it's still a really great gameplay experience with whose story it definitely like the more we get away from it, the worse it gets. I would say that's something that I feel like that's the warranted criticism that game deserves, especially the MJ thing of she went from a journalism and the very her big takeaway is
Oh,
becoming a
God.
podcaster called the new normal. It's like it's such they really got a bunch of millennials like to write the story of this game, and I'm like, where did the writer of 2018 go? That story is so measured, it's so earnest, it's so of its time that then just went
And
down this rabbit
extremely
hole.
bold because
Mm-hmm.
at the time we'd never seen the concept of, well, I'm sure we've seen Aunt May dying before, but this was
Mm-hmm.
like in this continuity, she stayed dead, and it was a very big point of
Mm-hmm.
growth. And man, just the crazy strikes and steps that they went through in that storyline. My
Mm-hmm.
goodness. I mean,
Yeah.
sure, everybody jokes about the whole like, oh, Spider-Man had to wear his anti-ox suit
Mm-hmm.
to beat him, and like now it's a joke that he puts on a new suit to fight the final battle,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the Insomniac games are going to do it. But at the same time, I mean, man, it was, gosh, it was something that I feel like I hadn't seen in a long time.
No, there's
Um,
like Spider-Man 2018 is so it's like there's an earnestness to that story because it's like compare that story to MCU stories that are so self-deprecating, especially at that time where it was like self-deprecation was the tone that was all over the MCU. 2018 Spider-Man was not that. There was an earnestness to that was so true to the comics, so unique in its vibes, and it's kind of like we were talking with our buddy when we were talking about how much grief has been enveloped a lot of Sony first party grief and revenge specifically, especially with a game that came out today that it's a pure revenge story. We'll definitely get there, but I feel like you compare the contrast of what 2018 is about, what Spider-Man 2 is about, and it's like 2018 was like I miss for when stories were that cheerful in many spots, even though there's dark stuff. But it's not about that. Dark stuff can happen, but it's not enveloped in that. And it feels like then they wrote a story in Spider-Man 2 that was overly corny, overly sanitized, and also decided to make the subtext, the text of what drove Peter and Miles in that story. Like Miles entirely. Do you see the thing that I posted in our group
yep.
of like Miles in the Spider-Man 2? Someone kind of like he's like all morose and someone pouring like water on him. That's what they gave him for that story. Like
Yeah.
they were, and yes, it's kind of justified based on what happens in Spider-Man 1, but it's like how were they able to make such a great Miles story in his solo game that had nothing about that it was instead, yes, his grief was it's ever present. You know that he lost Jefferson Davis. That's not like that game is not him about dealing about that. It's like it's honoring that loss and coming to terms to being his own Spider-Man, being the hero of Harlem, and dealing with a best friend that somehow is his like arch nemesis now. And she doesn't want that, and kind of has to deal with the complicated nature of him loving this person so much, but her being so lost on becoming a villain. It's like it's so textured in a way Spider-Man 2 is not. It's so enveloped in the theme that has plagued Sony first party storytelling after 2020, which too, it's when I listed how many games are about grief in the Sony stable, including one that I loved this year was Death Stranding 2. Is like it's I get why people are getting tired. I 100% get it. Even though there's still good stories, I'm not going to like the Ragnarok especially one. Uh,
Oh yeah.
what is great like
It's
to
it's unfortunate almost that they are all such good stories
yes.
despite
Mm-hmm.
all kind of having the same sort of motivation
Yeah,
and
I still say
let's
Ragnarok had
overcome grief or fall to it and it becomes a revenge tale.
yeah. I would say
Um,
Ragnarok's the one that handled it the most because of what it emphasizes most. To grieve is to have loved fully, or
oh yeah, I mean, as
to
far
grieve
as
deeply is
like
to have loved fully. It's like such a powerful
yeah,
like underlining of getting out and kind of like the catharsis that it left both its characters. I feel that's one of the best ones of what they have. It just does it because every game handles about grief. It's like it's makes it less special because like everyone's doing it. Expedition 33 and not like so many people's game of the year this year, a game all about that, like the
it
ways
is
like that we
the grief game.
exactly. So it's like there's so much about that, and I feel
Uh-huh.
it's so sad that everyone was in the same mindset when they wrote all these games, which is so
Mhm.
obvious when they were all
It
enveloped
is
in
a
it.
little bit ironic where everybody's talking about um 5 years later they're talking about some kind of insane level of grief that you can't really overcome and it just strikes without warning and
Mm-hmm.
everybody takes away a different lesson from it.
Yeah,
Gee, I wonder what caused such a connected through line of
yeah.
emotion like that.
I'm scared of the games that are being written right now that we're gonna get in 3 or 4 years time because it's
Yeah.
like it makes sense why we're getting all of those now when we realize the game development
Mhm.
cycles. So but yeah, that's Spider-Man 2. That's still a game that when I'm not playing it and thinking about it, I don't like, and then when I play it, I love. It's so weird. It's such a weird game, like to always like dissect because it's worse than it is when you think about it, and it's better than you think about when you go back in the sticks. So and briefly with Hades 2, I briefly streamed an hour and a half yesterday after due to technical issues. If you love Hades, you're gonna love this one. It's basically Hades again with more tight gameplay and more of a witchy aesthetic. I'm very like it throws me off the how can I say this the aesthetic this game kind of goes for because I don't associate that with Greek mythology, and there's the Greek mythology is all over this thing. You're playing as the daughter of the goddess of death, basically, Melino, and she has like a witch.
Away or
Melino, yeah, Melinoe. She's
yeah.
like using her like magic stuff. There's a bunch of
Which, to be clear, she was so obscure that many people who actually study Greek mythology didn't know she existed.
yeah.
Like that's how much of a deep cut her existence actually is for this game.
Oh yes, and that's kind of like what's so funny about it because it's like I was like, is she? And then I Google, I was like, oh yeah, she is part of like the myth. This is like so weird, but I'm so used to. I don't delve too much in the underworld side of the Greek pantheon. I know a few based on like what I've seen from God of War and when we've seen of Hercules and all of that. And it's like this game definitely is like cited more in that side, even though it still has all the gods of Olympus like Aphrodite, Poseidon, like they
Dionysus.
like all of them help you. They throw a they give you the okay. Do you want a buff for your attacks and all of that? This is gonna give you. So
I
it's
just love how wholesome they all are,
yes.
especially going from like Hades 1, where it's just like they are all so supportive of Zagreus that I thought the big twist was
Mm-hmm.
that he was going to get to Olympus and they were all going to actually be evil.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they were actually super chill and we're so glad to see him was like, excuse me, oh, so we're just playing this straight and everybody's happy.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is are you still in Hades? I know you're trying to go after Kronos, which is a
Yes,
different kind of
I think
situation.
yeah, I think you're trying to get to Tartarus based on the fact that you keep going deeper and deeper in things, and you
Oh,
start
so
kind
you're
of like
going down. Okay.
instead of going up. Like the second, I got to the second biome. Like the first one is kind of like a it feels like a swamp almost. It's like a very witchy
Oh
swamp.
boy.
You see like all the you see all the like symbolism and all of that, and then the second world looks more like traditional Hades, but it's like a mermaid area. It's like water, and the boss fight there, which is where I stopped. I got killed there. Um, it they're like this mermaids that play guitars. It's so funny. It's like they're shredding when you're like fighting them and all of that. So it's like totally that game is like is very interesting. But
Hmm.
if you're sensitive to very witchy like symbolism and all of that. Just understand that's a bit of the aesthetic that they go for this game. It's very different from what's there in the original Hades, but from a gameplay perspective, I see why it's reviewing as well as it is because Hades was always so excellent, and this feels like even more tighter like gameplay than that, and even with even cooler abilities now based on your character. I love using her snare attack where I ensnare enemies and just dodge and let the snare kind of like do the magic as I'm kind of like attacking from a distance and just mixing with my dash and a new sprint button that they give you that can also have some specific moves if you gonna say this like if you get a specific upgrade again the roguelike you're always gonna it's always gonna be random so
Mhm.
and but always advancing the story is always advancing no matter what and that's the thing I love the most about Hades in comparison to other roguelikes because it doesn't feel like you're wasting your time. There's always something like after my second run I got like a specific cutscene that made me play as the younger version of Melinoe. I was like that's interesting, that's actually
Yeah.
really cool. So yeah, I can't wait to play more. And briefly, I did get the Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 collection. I really just needed to check on my TV how to look. They look really, 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 really good on a 4K TV. Let's
I
just say
had to
that.
say it for Rick. I don't think Mario ever needs to be in 4K. I don't
Yeah.
think there's any reason to worry or to
Yes.
spend more money for any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I Mario is best at 720p.
The-
But no, I think it's great that they actually listened to fans and re-released Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 for this.
mm-hmm.
Um,
And they put
especially
up
for everybody that
and they
couldn't
put
play
a,
2.
and the thing is I just briefly know what I played is that the 3D All Stars collection felt like Nintendo at its most lazy with like what it just felt like they felt very those ports felt very shitted out basically. I feel they have put more effort into Galaxy 1 and 2 now like in texture work like it looks great in the handheld then when you see it in a massive TV and see like the improvements in the like how beautiful the skybox sky looks now instead of be like the blur thing that it used to be because of the low resolution. It's like Mario doesn't need to be beautiful, but gosh, like the artistry you see here, it's like it's really cool when you see it in Mario because we saw what great artistry did to the Mario movie. That's what one of the things that I love seeing Mario with that kind of high level of animation and fidelity in a movie. And I was like, can we ever get that in a game? And
Hmm.
I feel like we can get that now in Switch too. So I can't wait to play more about that. But because today is October 2nd. This is a big one, especially for Paul because he adores the first game. I like it quite a bit, just not as much as him. I did stream it yesterday too. Go to Yotei. Paul, I want to hear from you.
All
Go.
right, so let me I need to start with I got it. There's so many thoughts already. Um First of all, once again, fantastically gorgeous game. It's one of those games where you're like, oh yeah, there has actually been progress with how games can look.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how we kind of trick ourselves because obviously with every developer making their own game there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of varying levels of what's capable, and then you play a game like Ghost of Yotei and you go, oh yeah, so we're still making really good looking stuff.
Yeah.
And with how long it took Sucker Punch to make all of this, and how um what was the name of the DLC for Tsushima? I'm
Iki
blanking.
Island.
Thank you. The Iki Island, it was great, it was fine, but it really wasn't like the big final note that I was hoping for. So I kind of lived in a little bit of that disappointment, I think, ever
Mm-hmm.
since. Um, Even though I love the fact that you could get the little wooden sword, that was lovely. Um, this was a real return to form, just kicking you in the gut right out of the gate, making you sit at the edge of your seat because we're gonna be going along for a little ride, kind of an attitude. I It's once again, we're back in feudal Japan.
Mm-hmm.
It's 300 years later, completely disconnected characters and story. I'm told that at some point there might be mention of events from the past, but it's very much trying to like have a new jumping on point for people. I'm not complaining about that anymore. I was at first because I really thought that there could have been more to see Jin, especially with how I feel like this was the Assassin's Creed 1
Mm-hmm.
foray with this format. And then, sure enough, continuing with the same format and then Assassin's Creed 2ing the entirety of it so far. I've only gotten to the point where, like, of course, you can pick up some weapons, you can
Mm-hmm.
throw. the said weapons. There's a lot of like just having the grappling hook right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
You can, let me think, of course, use stealth. I had to remember you have to click in the right stick to
Mm-hmm.
actually crouch because I kept screwing up stealth,
Yeah.
but I'm just built different, so I was killing
And they
everybody.
removed ghost view because if you press the touchpad before it gave like the Batman Arkham kind of
That's
like a,
right. They had the
yeah.
instinct mode.
Uh-huh.
I
I don't know if
forgot about
I don't
that.
know if it ever comes back, but I found it really strange. I was like, oh,
There's
that's not
gotta
in the game,
be
huh?
how far did you get?
I got to the first like a big inn after you're like
Okay,
at the
so I'm a
flashback
little further
area,
than you, I
and
think.
then after you do that, and you sleep there, you find the person that can give you the bow, but you don't have enough
Yep.
money to get her, and you can talk with a guy that gives you bounties outside. So I want to do all the
Okay.
bounties like that
So I had
that thing.
enough money to buy the bow immediately.
Mhm.
But it was like a short bow, not the long one. The
The
long
one
one's
that
like
costs like
2000
300.
gold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the one that costs
So
like
I bought
300.
that. It's very interesting how it's laid out now, where you have these faction. I don't know faction. Like you have like a little village here and
Mm-hmm.
there. You have your original home, which has all of your upgrading forge equipment, which I of course I immediately called it. I was like, oh man, this evil guy, and he killed her parents. Watch it be some weird reason, like, oh, he was a swordsmith and he killed the father for not working with him or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, sure enough. It's just like, oh, he's a swordsmith.
Yep.
Wouldn't you know it?
Uh-huh.
But like, I get it. It's just funny because we just did that with
Mm-hmm.
frick.
Sebastian.
What's the really realistic medieval game?
Kingdom Come Deliverance
Thank
2.
you. Kingdom Come Deliverance too. Because that was the entire plot. It's literally that same thing. Um, where the only difference is that Atsu is the one that accidentally leads the guy to their house
Mm-hmm.
because she's super childlike and like, hey, buddy, we just met you in the woods. Want to come hang out?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's you're gonna get to that like immediately after where you're at, basically. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
really a spoiler either.
Yeah.
Um, it's just interesting to see how you can fast travel now to each of the individual merchants,
Mm-hmm.
because I remember that was an issue for me when you had that golden forest zone in Tsushima,
Mm-hmm.
where unless you knew where they were, I don't know, at first for me it was difficult to like figure out where like the different merchants were and what they did. But now when you're looking at the map, you hit the triangle button, it pulls up all the merchants. You can fast travel
Mm-hmm.
directly right in front of them,
Or they come to you. I had the
or they
boat.
come to you
Yeah, I
if
got
you
the
camp.
boat girl come to my camp.
That I forgot that was a thing that they did in the marketing. That's right. I want to say I like all of the realism aspects that they're throwing in there.
Mm-hmm.
I could see some of it being a little frustrating after a while
The
because
map thing where you have to kind of like move it around to like
actually
locate.
I kind of like that where like the more I'm going to open it up, I'm sure I'm going to be able to spot like the
Mm-hmm.
features that will fit the map into the real map, and it kind of like creates a more detailed version of it. What I'm thinking of is when you have to make your first campfire
Mm-hmm.
and you have to physically do the flint,
Yeah,
you
I was
have to
like,
blow on it.
yeah, I was like, so no, I was like, are we? But then it gives you the option to skip, so
It
I just
does.
hold
That's where
skip
I
and.
was like, oh, thank God. So yeah, that was a thing. You cannot skip individual lines of dialogue like you could in the first,
Mm-hmm.
and unless there's some kind of option that I couldn't see. And when you play your shamisen, you cannot skip that. You are going to sit there for the whole process unless you want to just like stop playing mid song, which I didn't feel like that was fair or would be super rude to the person I was playing in front of. But I was like, oh, cool, I played the shamisen. Surely it's going to cut after I did this. And then it's just you playing the music for a while until it's finally like resets. But at the same time, I'm also really glad that you get to clearly collect a bunch of songs. There's so much more customization, it seems. I love once again, the charm system is back. I love all of the filters that they have. I just wish that I didn't feel like I wasn't allowed to use them until I beat the game once.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it's like, well, I want to play the game the way they intended me to see it, and then I want to go back and play like on the Kurosawa mode, or
Mm-hmm.
the one that's like extra bloody and muddy,
Mm-hmm.
or
The
the
Mickey,
one that
the
has,
Mickey mode,
yeah,
I think.
Mike. And then the last one, which is the Samurai Champloo guy, and I'm forgetting his name.
I forget the mode that is like
Watanabe.
the Watanabe
I
mode.
think
That is
that's
kind
it.
of
Yeah,
like a hip hop, kind of like a
yeah. Because
lo-fi version of the songs.
that's a wild anime
Mm-hmm.
that wild isn't good. Because especially in the black community, that is like one of the big three for that crew. And I had three roommates that had like posters, vinyls, all of it. They were the ones that actually introduced me to the concept of lo-fi. I was like, what is that? This
Lo-fi is the
concept?
best.
And
Lo-fi
they
is
went,
absolute
buddy,
best.
let me culture you. And that's where I learned about Nujabes and all of the extra things that, of course, Watanabe stuff and everything else. Anyway, so it's got a lot of good. It's got a little bit of like bumps in the railway there
Mm-hmm.
where I feel like the initial walk through the house was all right, and then we kind of keep going back through it. It's not clear when you hold the touch pad and you
Mm-hmm.
have something new to experience, or
Mm-hmm.
if it's just like, hey, this is here. You can zip between your young form and your older form,
If you're
but there's nothing to
Yeah,
do.
if you're with Atsu outside, like in the present, she sees like some ghostly figure. That's when you hold it. That
Right.
gives a point of interest, like
Okay.
what's in the
I think
past.
that's what I had started to figure out. I was like, oh, I don't run around as the child. I run around as older Atsu, and then I
Mm-hmm.
find it and then switch into her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was. I really hope that you get to like improve the house because it feels weird to like go to the village where all of the merchants are and everything, and then you go back to your really depressing house to actually do improvements to
Uh-huh.
your swords and stuff. Um, I so far I got the dual katanas.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of fun. I don't understand their justification for like when you have a spear user, you need to use two swords, but when you
Mm-hmm.
use one sword, don't use it. And I was
Yeah.
like, wouldn't that still be a really powerful tool to use?
Yeah. So
They
that
justify it as like, oh, you need two hands on the blade to deflect a sword, but I don't know. Overall, it's like I feel it's a little more arbitrary on like what's weapon is powerful against which other weapon.
mm-hmm.
And it feels more like they just needed to slot that in to like justify it because they really wanted to add more weapons.
Yeah,
But
because
I'm
it
not
was
going to
like,
cause too
yeah,
much of a fuss about
it's basically like it's we chatted about this when we were playing Borderlands that
it.
the
Mm-hmm.
switch to the weapons is basically them offloading the stances to the different weapons, right?
Right,
So,
definitely.
so
That's exactly what it is.
it played out like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is like, hey, I understand kind of like it can give more combat variety and all that, and it's a
Yeah.
way to differentiate from Tsushima's single focus, like this one sword with the different stances, kind of like take on the entire. On the entire army versus like, hey, you got like all these different weapons and it can make it more stylish. I would say, like, for me, like, with Ghost of Yotei, the thing that impressed me the most was how so direct and to the point it was. It's especially I'm the one that finished Assassin's Creed Shadows earlier this year. I
Yeah, I
have
was
like
gonna
more of a
say
direct.
if we compare it to the Shadows, like fully playable flashback segment with both characters and
Uh,
takes like 40 minutes, not to mention all of the non-combat segments for that.
mm,
I think this one's a grand total of like,
five
hey,
minutes.
you were once a child, there's six people that killed your family, and like within the next 40 seconds it flashes you forward and it's like now you're gonna kill one of them, and
Uh,
I'm like, wait, am I allowed to just jump to that?
mm.
um
And that to me is so such a statement of intent that is like we understood that Tsushima had a little bit of bloat in specific areas. Like you love
yeah.
the army like
Mhm.
rush that happens in
That part was great, and I agree with
uh-huh.
you. What? Sorry, I'm cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, that it's like the original Tsushima had that, but then it had like that extended sequence of him getting captured doing the stealth section with
Hmm.
Juna was her name. I don't remember the name of
I think so.
yeah, whatever. Like again, it's like that game like has so many characters that I have forgotten the names besides Lady Masako and Sensei Ishikawa, I think was the name of it. Because I
Yeah.
recently like played through the early parts of Tsushima again, but I didn't finish a full replay. But it's like it gets so lost in the weeds after initially like strong like, oh yeah, look, this army and you're fighting them like against Kural Khan and all of that, and before you got to like the point that everyone loves, where it's like when he's like doing the big ride that starts the credits with like the wind and all
Hmm.
of that. You get there here so much more quicker because
Yes.
this game understands what it is. It's kind of, yeah, it is a revenge tale. Add it
Hmm.
to the list. But it feels like the thing I love the most about this is that it's not pretending to be anything else. They're
Hmm.
not. It's very clear that this is not. And we've gotten confirmation from others that it's like, no, this is pure revenge tale. This is not gonna be like a philosophical thing to question the cycles of violence or the meaning of revenge. And thing. No, it's like this is a western. You hear it. It's like it's very clear that at a certain point, Japanese media got influenced by the Western too, in how they did, and it's like you hear it with the way like the guitars play, with the with the music. The vibe is so excellent. The vibe is so cool. It's like there's such a coolness to the
They
way.
definitely waste zero time. And I made the comparison to like the Cal Kestis walk, where,
Mm-hmm,
of course, has been its influence from some the many Clint Eastwood movies and spaghetti westerns.
mm-hmm.
It's just so good how quickly they've nailed that vibe. And like the first thing you do is open the door to a tavern. You walk in all
Burn
cool, and
it.
everybody's gonna be ready to kill you. You burn it to the burn one of them to the ground, and then the next one, the one that you just finished, is like you
Uh-huh.
do the same thing essentially.
Mm-hmm,
Open the door, you walk in, you threaten people, get thrown out of the bar, you kill everyone. It's just it's
mm-hmm.
really solid that they're wearing their inspiration on their sleeve, and they're not afraid of it, and they're just going to roll with it throughout the whole course of the game,
Yeah,
presumably.
and I do like that because it's like I always said that there were things I always liked about Tsushima, and the thing I didn't like was the main story. I found it a little too dull because I wasn't that
Yeah.
huge towards Jin as a character, besides his relationship with his uncle. I felt everything in regards to his family is the thing that I liked the most about that story, and there was cool stuff in the side stuff. It's just that a lot of that side stuff was so extensive. There's like almost every character had like 9 quests per character. Always, you remember, it's like story 2 out of 9 of like Ishikawa's story or Lady Masako's story. There was a lot of that it was like it was optional, and the good stuff was there, but it was not like in the in the main story. And I didn't feel it was written particularly memorably besides the big event near the end, and when you finally completely eschew you as being a samurai, that affects the uncle really deeply, and then that's like a big thing towards the resolution of that story. But it's still not a game that really stuck with me, besides the fact that it was really fun to play. I platinumed it. It was a beautiful game in its island. I feel this is even more beautiful. I like Yotei, that this Yotei mountainous region, even more than I like the island of Tsushima. They're equally pretty, but I feel this is like extra pretty. I love the little touches they've added to. As soon as you start your horse ride, it goes into like do you remember in Red Dead that I gave you the option to hold the touchpad to get like
Cinematic
the
mode,
cinematic mode?
yeah.
It automatically gives that. It gives it such an oomph. It's such a
It's
fast
funny
thing.
that it does that every time you're on your horse.
Mm-hmm.
It is not just that moment anymore, but
Yeah.
it is like, yeah, we know what you're going to be doing here. We want to give you the wide sweeping shot,
Mm-hmm.
very like Shout of the Colossus, where it kind of zooms out of your horse after a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's impressive. I don't know if I want it to be there all the time, because sometimes I'm feeling like, especially, I was on the big TV and I was like, can we not zoom out all the way, please? I want to see things.
Yeah.
Um, and also it feels like, man, the 30-second rule has really made them like, all right, we're going to give you something to immediately jump off your horse in the next 10 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. But then it felt like I was getting nowhere.
Mm.
But I
Yeah.
was too afraid to just run past it just in case. So I kept getting off my horse, and half the time it was like,
Mm-hmm.
I could have stayed on my horse for this.
I would say they always did good at diegetic design with the original, with like the
Yeah.
foxes, the yellow birds, to kind of give you, because it's instead of following the line, which is what annoyed me the most about AC Shadows, that I needed to like turn what Pathfinder on, because like
Oh my
the
gosh.
world design was just not well designed, because there was a lot of slopes that you couldn't climb and all that. It's like this feels definitely more flat in certain ways, but I feel like it's so intentionally designed of what you can look, and still does enough diegetic kind of like interest points, that I feel like everything that I'm finding very naturally. I was like shocked how often I had like someone wander into my camp like randomly, and I feel like that's something that happened to me instead of something that was like
Right.
so scripted. It's like they've done little things to the presentation that I feel like have added a lot. I already like Atsu way more as a character. I feel like
Yeah.
she just has a different, she has a different aura to
It's
her.
the connection to the music specifically,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like the conversation she has with her mom at the start, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like music is not just bound to the physical world. If you play, I will hear you. And I was like, oh man, that's like
Uh,
what a way to connect like the reason she wants to keep playing music,
mm-hmm.
and everything else with her family being really solid, and every interaction being basically the Silk Song,
Mm-hmm.
the Hornet conversation of somebody says something vaguely like
Mm-hmm.
either sexist or threatening, and she's like, I'll freaking kill you right now. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no questioning morally of like where she is on whatever she's gonna do, and I'm kind of here
Yeah,
for it.
I also like how the bounty system is so elaborate. Like the first bounty that I did, which is like you have to go to away west of a specific Jade Grove, I think is what it was called. You needed to find a cemetery, and it's like an entire like confrontation where you go into like a cemetery with like big flowers, and the guy is praying there. Then you have to like fight him, and then you have other bounty hunters that kind of want to get you because they're coming for this bounty too. So it's like this is not like the Assassin's Creed get a bounty, just go into a place, stab, and automatically get the money. It's like it feels like there's more elaboration. And then the last bounty that I did yesterday before I finished streaming is one that you have to kind of go south, and is this guy that has cannons and it's just like shooting them up. Like there's like shooting people up with these cannons like that. There are bounty hunters. You're trying to like walk through them and it dodging like the cannon. It's
So
like
you're
this
telling
massive.
me Yotei did the Assassin's Creed 3 set piece?
A little bit, not as elaborate as Bunker Hill, but it's so funny that it's like a normal bounty hunt was like this dude that has a cannon is like shooting this freaking
It's
cannon
kind of tight.
to its bounty hunter. It was like that feels so so far the content feels like everything is there for a reason. And I love that from an open world game that is still as traditional as this one is. It's still a checklist game, but I don't feel it's as checklisty as even the first Tsushima was, because that was still like in the vein of old Assassin's Creed, not the new ones.
Right.
And I'm so tired of new Assassin's Creed formula. I much
Hmm.
prefer this. That already I look at that map and I'm like, this feels so. It's big, but
Yeah,
I'm not feeling deflated seeing all of it. I feel like I kind of want to naturally just progress through it, and
but
it's
that's the
going.
cool part is like you can run through it naturally. You
Mm-hmm,
can click the button that tells you to go to the objective, but you're probably going to find your way into something really
mm-hmm,
fulfilling on the way or in a different direction. That's the best part.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
And I
like.
think that's what people forget with the whole open world side. And that's why
Mm-hmm,
everybody wanted open world games for so long. And now why everybody forgot that rule.
mm-hmm.
And that's why it all sucks.
Yes, because they become so overwhelming and they become so like
Mm,
they just become such grinds. It's like compare this to Horizon. It's like compare
right.
like Horizon is more even more traditional Ubisoft style like open world that it's like
Joe, if you're listening
concise.
to me right now, if you compare Horizon to Yotei and you say something good about Horizon and something bad about Yotei, I might lose it.
Yes, absolutely. Because it's like I just much prefer the approach this game does because it's more naturalistic. I always
Right.
prefer the aesthetic of Horizon, but it's like I feel the vibe of this game is making me turn around more about it. Like it's like yes, I've been playing a lot of samurai games, especially this year. But I feel like if you skip Shadow specifically because you knew Yote was coming,
Hmm. You were
I
justified.
you were 100% justified, and I'm already like the vibes. The only thing that I will still give Shadows, and this was it made immediately the first time I stealth killed someone here.
Hmm.
Shadows still has the best stealth mechanics, but
Hmm. Hmm.
it,
Oh yeah,
it feels
I
like.
I think that was the one thing people agreed that Shadows technically had over it.
Mm-hmm,
When you're playing as Naue and you're doing the stealth, it's pretty solid.
mm-hmm,
And this is pretty rudimentary stealth still,
yeah,
but
and
it is improved over Tsushima, which I gotta give them
but
credit.
there's a certain irony that I feel Yote has better level design. Like Shadows has great stealth mechanics and not great level layouts. I
Oh,
would
oh yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so it's like I feel like Yote right now. I like that it feels very curated. It doesn't feel like
for sure.
copy and pasted. At least early on. Again, this is early impressions. We'll definitely talk more in 2 weeks again when you play more. Let's see like where we are with that. But so far, I'm glad that I feel like I got what I wanted out of Yote, which is like it's retained what I like of Tsushima, cleaned up what I didn't like, removed something that I didn't like, which was its main character. That's true. It's like I liked him enough, but it's like I already much like immediately just in 2 hours I already like Atsu much better. gosh, and the fact that I got saved from being killed by a wolf was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That was like so
It
cool.
just
That,
keeps
that was
happening every once in a while, and I'm
yeah.
like,
It
it's
captures
that
me.
moment where you're sure this is the time where you're going to get killed, and that wolf comes saving you right at the last second. Oh, it's such a dopamine hit.
And
It's so
also
good.
shout out because apparently this wasn't in the review period because people were saying that it wasn't there, but it was there when I loaded in. It has lethal mode now, which
Oh
got
yeah,
added
yeah, it's
afterwards. Yeah.
definitely there.
Yes, and it's
I
hard.
actually
It's hard.
I stepped through it. I knew I wasn't going to pick it because even on medium, I'm getting my butt handed to me every once in a while when I'm not paying attention
Yeah.
because I forget how quickly, if you get hit a couple of times, you need to do that heal or you're
Uh-huh.
going down the next
And now
swing.
they do the thing where they disarm you. Like
Yes,
when you have to hold
they'll
triangle and
knock
have
the
to,
sword right out of your hands if
and
you're not careful.
that can instantly kill you if you're not quick to go pick up that sword.
Hmm.
And it never gets old picking someone else's sword and just shove it
Oh,
like.
the quick like the scrappy nature like we talked about.
Mhm.
I'm loving it. I can't wait to have more thoughts in a
And
couple of weeks.
it's not a Souls like combat. This is still the same
Not a
combat.
soul.
It's still an action
It's
game that's
funny. I
square
saw
interact.
there's an accessibility option to give people a lock-on mechanic. I was like,
Yep.
I will never touch this as long as I'm
Mhm.
playing this game.
Yeah, because that was patched in for the director's cut of Tsushima
Right.
afterward. Because that was a big complaint people had of the original. That it's like, why is there no lock on? But it's like, at first I was like, you don't really need it because it's
Welcome
like
to the 2000s, baby.
yes, but they added it, and I enabled
Yeah.
it because I got used to it with Iki Island, and it did help me with the big boss fight that had the big cannon when I got to him because he was like a fatty. So, but overall, super impressive what's there with Yotei. I can't wait to play more. This is a game I'm still debating how I want to experience it because it's so beautiful that I'm like, it's like I want to play it on my TV, but I'm also doing
It's good.
streamings right now, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Let's read through some quick headlines, Paul, because
Yeah,
there's
if
like
we
at
could
least
hit like a top three or something since we've
yeah.
only got a few minutes left.
Yes, there are a few that are gonna be self-explanatory, but I feel like these two are basically all in one, and we can kind of briefly say things like Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is getting an overhaul and a 50% price increase. What this means is that Ultimate, which was costing us $20 a month just last year, has now been bumped to $30 a month and a full $360 a year, which is a very fitting number for the Xbox brand. And that's on top of the fact that they revealed the Xbox ROG Ally prices, where uh, the base model is gonna cost $600, which is a normal one, but the one that they've been demoing people on, the powerful one, the X one, cost $1,000, and the pre-orders are live, and this thing supposedly launches in 14 days. And this was on top of the fact that they raised the prices of their consoles again, where the Xbox Series X right now costs $650, the one that I bought for $349 back in 2023, and the 2 terabyte one costs $800, and it's even more expensive than the PS5 Pro right now.
It's
It's a
ridiculous.
much cheaper one.
We're going
We
to
can
be
focus
joining
on
our voices to everybody else's on this, but if they don't walk this back, especially when they started with the we've heard your feedback right at the start of their announcement of this, it's like
uh-huh.
whose feedback?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
And just the sheer amount of people canceling their Game Pass has crashed all of the system,
I'm
the
still trying to log in.
websites
Still
related
trying.
to it. That's not good for any of their bottom lines. They've got to come up with some kind of solution to this,
Yeah.
especially GameStop freaking selling their cards still at $20.
Yes.
You know something's just
You
not
know
smelling
it's
right
yeah,
here.
you know something's wrong, like has gone so wrong where now GameStop looks like the good guy with what you're doing, and
Yeah.
they're so justified because I feel there's no business that has felt the brunt of someone wanting to kill them more than Microsoft, with them going more full digital, uh, eliminating their physical collection pipeline that they used to do in house. So it's like they've been very clear they've been trying to move away into like a more digital side of things. And to me, like the worst part is that at $30 a month, it's like it's reached now the point where it's like $30 more you can buy a game. Like
Right. You
it's
might
like
as well.
it's finally reached that point where it's like, where is the savings? You
Hmm.
and I, we still technically could wing it just by thinking of it as
We
a quick
technically would, but
but
like in the
it
grand scheme of it all.
yeah, it's becoming more like, do we really want to support this? Because I wanted to do Game Pass this month specifically because there were 3 games from them that I was interested in. At least because
Yeah.
like Ninja Gaiden 4 for sure, as a character action based guy. Keeper, the next game from the Psychonauts 2 developer, because it's an original IP. I kind of wanted to check it because they're usually pretty creative bunch. And there was the Outer Worlds 2.
Right.
Like just I wanted to check, but it's like now for 30, it's like, god damn it. It's like
It's not even close to worth it for the
yes.
average person. Even
Yes.
my brother, who had talked about saying he was gonna sell all his stuff, buy
And
an
get an Xbox.
Xbox, and then use Game Pass, I was like, don't do it. If you haven't yet,
Hmm.
don't. And he even acknowledged, he was like, no, I might as well get rid of Game Pass entirely and all my other stuff
Hmm.
and then go in on PlayStation. Like they got somebody who was about to do the switch in the opposite direction to flip flop. It's
Yes,
just
it's
it's
just bad. It's
busted.
Xbox is like I recommend everyone go read an editorial from Ryan McCaffrey, the Xbox guy over at IGN, who said this generation is gonna be remembered for Xbox as as about greed, because it's insane what greed did. Greed brought them to acquire for $80 billion all these people, and look where they are now. So, which is sad because we were so like hopeful they were gonna be like a good fighter,
Very.
and they shot themselves in the foot so catastrophically. And we're gonna read through these other headlines. They're basically pretty self-explanatory, so I'm gonna just rush through them. Forza Horizon 6 takes players to Japan next year and confirms it won't come to PS5 at launch. So they're still trying to do like half
Hmm.
exclusivity.
Mm-hmm.
Doug Bowser, the current president of Nintendo of America, is retiring with Devin Pritchard named president and CEO. She's like a lady, so it's like she's been there longer than
She's like a
Bowser.
lady.
Yeah, no, she's like because it's Devon, the name. So so you never know. So it's a lady that worked for as a CFO. So
Yeah.
she's gonna be over
She's
Nintendo
working there
now.
for like 10
Yeah,
years.
longer than Bowser. So
Right.
EA is being acquired for 55 billion by the Saudi Arabia Foundation, like the
Unbelievable.
private investment, and will go
Wow.
private. So this is supposed to close in 2027. So if you don't want to give money to the Saudis but still like EA games, you still have one more year of guilt-free purchasing before that happens. It's insane that they
Please
saw.
let the sequel come out before it happens.
Yes. Silent Hill F achieves 1 million copies sold in less than a week. And it sold faster than Silent Hill 2 Remake according to Konami. I would say that definitely got faster because Silent Hill 2 Remake was good. People were not expecting that thing to be good and even still was flawed, but Silent Hill F deserves a pretty awesome game. This is for you, Paul. It looks like Prototype could be coming back after a Steam update added new credits. So
That
it's
was crazy to hear. I can't believe that might be a thing.
yes, I'm glad that I want that game to be realistic because it's like with the lack of Infamous, we need kind of like those off-brand superhero style like games, especially this one that is so about the chaotic destruction. Final Fantasy VII Remake director says lighting is the crucial factor in making it look good on Switch 2. People praise the bejesus out of the port they've done to the Switch 2, and he confirmed that the PC improvements that they did for the reverse version, they're trying to like port it back into the PS5 version and anytime soon. So they're confirming that work on the FF7 project is still going and it's going to be a full-on multi-platform thing. And Yakuza 3 Gaiden Dark Tides, which was announced during TGS, basically it's the spin-off that is going to be included with Kiwami 3 at the same price. Originally it was just going to be like a video film that then they decided to make just a full-on spin-off game that they throw into the Kiwami 3 project, and that's coming out in February. That's interesting. RGG always kind of going above and beyond. And finally, Rockstar co-founder Dan Houser says Red Dead 2, not GTA. But he left, by the way. Dan Houser's no longer there at Rockstar. He says Red Dead 2, not GTA, was the best thing he worked on, and he has had no input over Grand Theft Auto 6. So basically, it's a
Hmm.
good thing to know that he thinks that the last thing that he worked on is his best. And Red Dead 2 is my favorite Rockstar game, so I would agree with him. So those are basically all like the quick headlines are pretty self-explanatory. Paul, read the release dates quick.
We got Finding Paradise on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox One on October 5th. Battlesuit Aces, PlayStation 5, Switch, and PC on October 7th. King
King of
of
Meat.
Meat, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC October 7th. Sopa, Tale of the Stolen Potato, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PC October 7th. Kingmakers Early Access on PC October 8th. Absalom, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC on October 9th. By Sweet Carol, on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, PC on October 9th. We Were Here Together, Switch, October 9th. Yuka Replayly, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and please Switch to PC, October 9th. Battlefield 6, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC on October 10th. Disgaea 7 Complete, Switch 2, October 10th. Dreams of Another, PlayStation 5, PlayStation VR, PC, October 10th. And Little Nightmares Enhanced Edition, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, Switch 2, PC, October 10th. Little Nightmares 3, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch 2, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, October 10th. Pixel Junk Eden 2, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and PC on October 10th. And last but not least, Snoopy and the Great Mystery Club on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, PC on October 10th.
Long
And
live
that is it.
Snoopy. Yeah, long live
Long live
Snoopy. That is
Snoopy.
back. But it's like this is a pretty good week. Obviously, Battlefield 6 is our big one there. I played King of Meat at SGF. That was a really fun party game. And Yuka Replay, I think there's a free upgrade if you own it already because that's what the
Well,
the remasterization of Ukulele. And I don't know. We own Little Nightmares 1. I think this is like an enhanced version of 1. I don't know if you're gonna.
it's gotta be. I own 1 and 2 already,
Yeah.
so I'm probably not gonna wait on that. I'll
Uh huh.
hopefully wait for Little Nightmares 3 to go on a nice sale.
It's 40
Uh,
right. It's 40 right now. So like the
yeah,
sale will be really nice. Like
it
for
would
even
because
cheaper.
I remember not being super wowed by 2, but I loved 1.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of streams of those games. So some of the streamers that I follow. So again, like it's a lot of things, but Battlefield is the big one for next. It's so wild that we're here finally
For
after
sure.
some after a long month and a half after we did that amazing group stream with you, Rick, and my sister when we all played the beta. Gosh, those were good times, man. Glad Battlefield is back, and let's enjoy Battlefield before it grasped by the Saudis. Unfortunately,
Please.
yes, but that brings us yet to the conclusion of this week's episode of the X Button. Like always, a tight one with Paul's schedule. Paul, where can people find you?
As always, y'all can find me at Dork of Art on Twitter. Every once in a while, I post gameplay of me breaking something or cool screenshots every once in a while. Where can they find you, Alejandro?
A Segovia on Twitter, Asegovia over on BlueSky, where I keep getting a lot of follows over there. It's like that place is like buzzing.
Hmm.
And twitch.tv/the Slayer Giant, where I'm trying to stream at least 3 times a week. I don't have a consistent schedule due to review season and also sickness, but I did 3 streams in a row last week. Let's see if I stream today. Like by the time you listen to this, I may or may have not, or if not, it's gonna be a Friday stream. You'll see it. And you can read my written content over at seasongaming.com. You can read my last 4 reviews over the last month, which includes MTS Delta, Everybody's Golf Hot Shots, Towan, the Guardian of the Sacred Tree, and now Digimon Story, Time Strangers. 3 of those were all from the same publisher, Bandai Namco. They love us. And I got credit codes for that one. So, and I was gonna do a review for Silent Hill, but I think it's already too late for that one. So it already kind of passed. But
Yeah,
yeah, and I'll be playing Lego Party because we got code for that too, and that came out on
that was a
Tuesday.
crazy journey to find that out. But
Yes,
yeah, that'll be a thing, huh?
yep. But we can't wait to try it. Well, I played that at SGF and I love it. That's kind of why I was like, yes, it's a really fun Mario style in Mario Party. But next week will be me and Rick, and we'll see Paul in 2 weeks. And until then, enjoy playing Ghost of Yotei, Mario Galaxy, Hades, and everything that's come out because this has been an insanity of release days, including Final Fantasy Tactics that came out 2
Eat
days
well,
ago.
regardless of your preferences.
Oh yes, and if you have good taste, unlike some people. But regardless of that, enjoy, play some games, and
Press X.
to play.
Good night, everybody.
Hasta la vista, baby.